you guys a quick and easy way to set up your stationary bike before you guys get ready to ride, okay? So what you want to do is first you want to come on up to the bike. You want to feel for your hip bone because the seat should sit slightly right at your hip bone or maybe a little bit lower, just depending on how you feel once you get in the saddle, okay? So once you find that hip bone, what you want to do is adjust that seat to your hip height, okay? So I am going to find my hip bone, sitting just a little bit slightly lower than my hip bone, which is okay because I guess it just depends on the grooves that are on the bike. But once I get on the saddle, then I'll be able to determine whether or not I need to adjust it up or down. So once I do that, make sure that your seat is safely locked before you get on, okay? Once you get on, you're going to go ahead. You're not going to strap your feet in just yet. But what I want you to do is sit your hips all the way back in that seat, and you're going to put your heel on the pedal, okay? So how we can determine is if the seat height is adjusted good enough for a safe and effective ride. What you want to do is you want to bring that foot all the way down to the bottom of that pedal stroke, okay? And what we want is about a slight bend in our knee, so roughly about 15 to 20 degree angle in our knee. So what I mean by that is that you want a slight bend in that knee when you are safely sitting up in that saddle. Your hips are all the way back, okay? So you want a slight bend when you bring that pedal stroke all the way down. You don't want it to be completely locked out. If it's locked out, then that means what we have to do is adjust our seat down just a little bit, okay? That means that you're reaching for that pedal and it's not going to be a good even pedal stroke and your hips are going to be out of alignment. So if we bring it all the way down, slight bend, 15 to 20 degree angle, not completely locked out. If it is too much of a bend, so if it's more like a 40, 45 degree bend, then what we need to do is adjust our seat height up a little bit, okay? So right now, if I'm looking, my 15 degree angle of the bend of the knee, okay? So now what I'm gonna do is go ahead and clip into my bike. So once you clip in, go ahead and sit those hips back and just give me a good pedal stroke so we can see how the hip alignment is, okay? So what I mean by the hip alignment is that you're not reaching side to side just to push that pedal stroke down, okay? So it's an even, good pedal stroke. Now what we're gonna do is determine whether or not we need to adjust our seat forward or back. And how we do that is we bring our foot, sit those hips back, we bring our foot to about maybe 3 o'clock where our foot is parallel to the floor. And what we're gonna do is we are just going to simply tip at the hip here with our hands at position 1. Once we do that, what we wanna do is we wanna look at that same leg, so that knee should be right in line with the middle of the pedal and or the middle of your shoelaces or your straps, okay? So if we do that, sit those hips back and we look down. If I were to drop like a shoelace or something straight down, then it would be a straight line from my knee to the middle of my shoelace, okay? That's how we determine whether or not we need to adjust our seat forward or back. So ideally, if our knee is over our toes, then what we need to do is adjust our seat back just a little. And if our knee is in line with really our ankle, then what we need to do is we need to adjust our seat forward, okay? So once we do that, just give me a good pedal stroke, okay? Doesn't feel choppy, then we should be good with our seat forward or back and our seat height. Now what we're gonna do is set up our handlebars, okay? So ideally, our handlebars should be right in line with our seat and or slightly lower than our seat for advanced riders. So keep in mind that if you're expecting and or if you have lower back problems, then what you wanna do is you wanna adjust those handlebars up just a little bit to where you're not bending over as much, okay? So my hands are at position 1. I have a slight bend in my elbow. So what I mean by slight bend in my elbow is my elbows are not locked out where it brings my shoulders up towards my ears. So if they are locked out, then what we need to do is adjust our handlebars forward just a little bit to give us that slight bend in our elbows, okay? So I'm going to adjust my handlebars just a little to give me that slight bend in my elbows as I ride through, okay? Position 1, hands right underneath your shoulders. Position 2, our hands are right outside, opening up that chest, keeping our chest up. And position 3 is our standing climb, which our hands go here and we stand. Shift those hips back right over the seat and bring those knees straight up. This is our stand climb, okay? Position 2, position 1, and that's how we set up our bike.